What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pure Evil MMA. I'm your host, as always, Evil-Eddie, and returning after Thanksgiving. So right off the bat, right off the rip, let me just say I hope you guys all had a really good Thanksgiving yesterday, whether you're in America, Canada, wherever you are. Just hope that you had a great day. Thanks for tuning in. If you're at the gym, if you're on a walk, if you're on a hike, if you're chilling on the couch smoking weed and eating cereal, thank you for tuning in here to Pure Evil MMA. We have a very special episode. I know I say that every episode, because every episode, listen, I am thankful for being able to do this podcast, because yesterday was a day from hell. I mean, people lost their damn minds yesterday here at the crib, because when the family's on the way over, God had a plan to shut the power off on everyone, and everyone literally lost their damn minds. It was crazy, and I snapped. I literally snapped on everyone. I was like, first off, you go to any other family's house, they're probably not watching TV. They're not sitting there on their phones. I looked at my grandfather. I said, did you guys have TV back then? Like, everyone was just in a miserable mood. Everyone's character defects really came out yesterday. It was just a shit show. Everyone ended up leaving. I stayed here, no power. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, man, people, like, you can't sit down and have a conversation. I was so thankful. I was freezing my ass off last night, and I was so thankful to have candles. Just, that's it. Just candles. Candles, my guitar, my dog, my rats, my baby rats, which I had to keep warm all night. I mean, there's so much to be thankful for. I feel like people nowadays, they have so much that they take a lot for granted. And I am so excited to announce who one of the guests today are. We have two UFC fighters coming on, and one of them's story, Ian Heinisch, who just fought for UFC's Denver card, has an amazing story where I can 100% relate. Some people get mad about his past, but the past is in the past, and I love the stories of people coming from behind and changing their lives and looking at themselves in the mirror and just being like, this is not where I want to be. How do I change it? And then you see the result. So I want to let you guys know Ian Heinisch is going to be calling in any second here. I got to actually call him in 2 seconds, but let me just quickly do the intro here. And then following that interview, we have Mike Trizano calling in, the lone wolf who beat the violent Bob Ross, and what some people may call an upset. So thank you guys for tuning into the chat room. I see the chat's going right now. Kevin from Chicago saying he can't wait. Probably about the stream, I'm saying. Miles is tuning in. Hey, Eddie, what time are the fighters on? They're coming on right now. I'm calling them right now. And then Kevin from Chicago, yeah, brother. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Ian just messaged me. That's him. He says he's ready. So let's give him a call. And, guys, make sure to subscribe down below here on Pure Evil MMA, whether you're listening on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Podomatic, wherever you are. Hit that subscribe button down below here. I got to shut that off. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, my God. I copied the number, and it goes, it put in the text by accident. I don't know why it does that, but let's give Ian a call here. Live. Who's actually coming off an amazing win, man. I mean, he beat Justin Fort Sumner. We're going to talk about that in a second. What's going on, Ian? It's Evil-Eddie from Pure Evil MMA.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. Like, right off the rip, let's jump into the meat and potatoes of things here. You made a huge splash on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series against Justin the Fort Sumner, who literally, I think I drove by him this morning running down the street here. He's from my same city. And me and you have been in touch for a while now, for at least a little over a year. I think you even came on the show when you were in LFA a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I remember.
So that's my favorite part, is like watching these guys go through a struggle, go through change, and go into the UFC and really make a footprint in there. And that's exactly what you did, man. So I want to first off say thank you for joining us here on the show. And how was your Thanksgiving before we talk about anything else?
Oh, man, it was great. You know, just got to really relax and eat some great food with the family, and finally starting to feel a little bit better. I caught some food poisoning on my last day in Argentina, so I wasn't eating much and got a little skinny. So it feels good to feel healthy again and feel good and just relax.
What does that feel like, getting food poisoning? I don't think I've ever gotten food poisoning. I've been sick before from, eating gross food, but what were you feeling? You're in a different country. What were the symptoms?
So I won my fight around 1:30 at night, Argentinian time, and then the fights ended around 3. We got back to the hotel. Everyone stayed up and kind of just hung out and partied. And at right around 7 o'clock, when the breakfast buffet opened, we were like, all right, well, let's go eat breakfast, and then we'll go to sleep. So we went in there. I got this omelet, and my stomach just started hurting immediately. And I ate a bunch of stuff, so who knows what it really was. And then when I went to the room, I mean, it felt like there was a knife in my stomach, someone twisting it. I was on the floor rocking back and forth, and then I just had to, like, puke myself. And I mean, it hurt more than any fight has ever hurt. Like, I was like telling my boy, I was like, call the ambulance, bro. And my girlfriend, she's a nurse, and she's like, there's nothing they can do. And so I just had to let it pass. And it was rough.
That's absolutely brutal.
I've never had that.
Well, that's absolutely brutal, especially from something like eggs or something like. Well, first off, what did you do after the fight to party? Do you think it had anything to do with, like, maybe overeating?
You know, that's the thing too. Like, it could have been because like my girl said, the first thing I had was ice cream and Coca-Cola in the green room, and so I was just kind of adding up. And who knows what it was, but I learned a lesson to not go so crazy right away.
So let's jump into the fight, man. This was a big one. As I said, you were coming off that huge win off Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. Did you kind of feel pressure here to go in there and make a statement? Because that's what the Contender Series is really all about is, you know, you have Dana White there. You're trying to make an impression. Did you feel like all eyes were kind of on you here after that highlight reel knockout of Justin Sumner?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I actually didn't feel any pressure because, you know, I was planning on fighting in Denver. I was getting turned down by these guys coming off the Contender Series. I couldn't get a fight, you know, and it was frustrating. And I was training hard, and I'm bugging my manager. I'm bugging Mick. And then finally, on I think it was a Friday, they called me and they said, hey, Cesar Ferreira needs an opponent. And I looked at his record, and I seen he fought Nate Marquardt. So I gave him a call and asked him about it. And I said, yeah, let's do this. And I flew out that Monday, and I was such an underdog. And, you know, from being 80th in the world or whatever I was ranked to fighting the 16th guy in the world, there wasn't much pressure on. And I went out there on short notice, and I got the job done.
Honestly, that was an amazing fight. It just seemed like he didn't want to go down at all. Like, you were hitting him some really nice shots. You were feinting. You were ducking his punches. You were countering. You were doing everything possible, man. I couldn't believe it. You looked just as good in the first as you did in the third. Were you kind of surprised that, like, you know, did you feel the level get, you know, increased in that fight here, going in the UFC and taking on a contender there?
Yeah, you know, Cesar is one of the toughest guys I ever fought, and people said he would kind of have a glass jaw, which he didn't at all. And, you know, I came into the first round, and if you see it, I was just nervous. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was so nervous. It was my first UFC fight. My whole life I've been waiting for this. Nerves were super high, like, and I'm glad I got that out the way. And then, you know, obviously my cardio, it was good, but if I was in a full camp, it would be a lot better. And in that third round, I just had to dig deep. We were both tired. I had to go to some deep places in my head I haven't been in a while, and I just had to push the pace on him. And I wasn't sure what the judges were going to think because he did take me down a bunch, and so I just had to push forward, hunt that knockout, and obviously there's a few things I'm going to work on. I should have went to the body a little more and a few things, throwing a little more elbows, but you know, I got the job done. I got that out the way, and I'm excited for the future.
How did that feel, getting that victory inside the octagon? I mean, we know that you have a crazy past, man, a past that I can really relate to. I think a lot of people in our generation can relate with. Like, you kind of just get caught up in the wrong thing. You look at yourself in the mirror one day, and you want to change, but then your past catches up with you. And that's exactly what happened with you in the past. Was it a huge relief getting your hand raised in there, and, like, you finally felt proud of yourself for once, maybe?
Yeah, you know, I've been very proud of myself this whole year, especially, you know, making this change. God has just done such amazing things in my life, cured me from my addictions. And I went from being an LFA guy, from finishing 2 people for the LFA, winning the belt, and then finishing Justin Sumter and Dana White Contender Series, then getting signed and fighting the number 16 guy and really solidifying my spot in the UFC. So I'm just overwhelmed. It's so surreal. I'm so grateful for everyone who's believed in me. And, yeah, it was a huge feeling of relief after getting my hand raised after that fight.
Well, right now you got 4 finishes in a row, and now you got your first UFC finish, man. So, like I asked in the first question, moving forward now, do you feel pressure as you know you have to live up to be a finisher here? I mean, this one did go to a decision, but man, you've been killing people your entire career, pretty much.
Yeah, you know, early in my career, I did get a lot of decisions, and then as of lately, I've just been finishing everyone since LFA, and you know, this fight did go the distance. It was super close. I popped his arm with the arm bar. You know, he fractured it. He kept fighting. I dropped him in the second. The clock ran out. And, you know, I believe I have a really good fight coming up next. And it's a tough guy. And I'm going to have a full camp, and I'm going for that KO. I'm going to be more calm. I'm going to be more patient and pick my shots. But when the time right, I'm going to explode, and I'm going to definitely be hunting for that big KO.
So after the fight, you kind of were jumping into moving forward. It kind of seems like you can't wait to get back in there. You already have an opponent picked out in your head. Did you talk to your management about this?
Yeah. So, you know, after the fight, honestly, I just been thinking about resting and relaxing because I mean, I'm still very sore, but my team and stuff is kind of been just moving forward, looking to the future, and I trust them 100%. And I heard David Branch is looking for an opponent in January, and we think that's a great fight. It's another step up. I believe he's number 11 in the world, and you know, he's got a similar style to me, and he won't be backing up, so we're going to have a lot of action, and that's what the fans want, and I'm excited to test myself again.
So how far into play is that? Does David Branch also want the fight? Have you tried calling him out on Twitter? What's the story unraveling here with that?
You know, it's just in the works right now. My team is working on it. These are the rumors, though. That's about all the information I can give right now. But it's looking like it in his home state and in January. So I'm going to go on vacation. I'm leaving to Mexico next week, and then I'm going to jump right back into camp and start training hard. And if that date or opponent doesn't work out, I'm going to be ready for something in the beginning of next year.
So you got to train with Cowboy a little bit during the camp, and, you know, he obviously had a huge win against Mike Perry. Did you get to catch that fight? And, you know, what was it like training with Cowboy for this?
Yeah, you know, it was a really cool experience. I learned a lot just in the short week we trained together. I was one of his main training partners in drilling and a little sparring, and it was a great experience. You know, Eric Anders came to the very end of my camp. I got to train with him for a few days. That was super cool. Zach Cummings was back in town, so I was training with him as he gets ready for his fight. I trained with Court McGee a lot, Anthony Smith before his last fight. I just get to train with the best in the world, and that's why I know I belong where I belong. And we have such a great team at Factory X and my strength conditioning at Landau Performance. And if they believe in me and I believe in myself, I feel like we can get the belt real soon.
So you're training with Mark Montoya. You're training with people like Anthony Lionheart Smith, man. It's got to be a great vibe going on at the gym right now, especially with Anthony, man. We've been watching him for years. I got to interview him a while ago, and you know, sometimes you take a step forward, a step back, but all in all, Anthony Lionheart Smith had a great year this year.
Oh yeah, man. Me and him had such a great year. Obviously his was on a little different level. He got 5 wins, I believe 4 or 5 finishes. He's now number 2 in the world, and he's right in line for that title shot. And I had 4 fights, 3 finishes, and so me and him have just been on the rise. And everyone at our gym, Macy Barber is now with us, and she did great. Devontae Smith just made his debut and knocked the guy out in 26 seconds. And we got Chris Gutierrez making his debut this weekend. So, I mean, Factory X is on the map, and we're here to stay. We're the new Jacksons. We're the new AKA. We have an up-and-coming crop that is just phenomenal, and you're going to see a lot of eyes on us and a lot of great competitors coming out of our gym.
Hey, I got to give you props. Before we let you go, this is going to be one of the last final questions because we got Mike Trizano calling in just a minute, but you literally pulled through for that crowd there by speaking their language. Is that something that you prepared before this, or did you know the language, or how did that happen?
Yeah, you know, I lived in Spain for 3 years, and obviously I got in trouble over there, and I learned the Spanish language. I speak it pretty fluent. Obviously not perfect because I don't continue to speak it as often as I would like to. But yeah, when I was there, I'm speaking Spanish the whole time, and when I heard the translator speaking Spanish and stuff, I was like, these guys want to hear this white boy speak Spanish. So I gave them a shout out, told them I love their support, I love their country, and I just continue to hope I can fight in South America because I love South American and the people and the culture.
Before we let you go, this is the last thing I want to say. Obviously, your story and background is so inspiring. Do you have a message for anyone out there, a young kid that may be going through hard times and they see somebody like you, they see your story? Do you have a message to not give up, or what would you say to somebody right now that was in your shoes?
Yeah, just look at it like as that you're never too far gone. Like, I was in a prison cell in a foreign country, with no hope and nothing going on for me 4.5 years ago. And now I'm in the UFC in the top 20. And so no matter what race you are, gender, nationality, your upbringing, it's never too late. Your age, it doesn't matter. Just find a relationship with God, find your destiny, your path, and follow that out. And he'll be along the way helping you make the right decisions. And hard work pays. It's so cliche, but it's the truth. And if it's about being consistent and dedicating your life to something that you want so bad. And if anyone's out there struggling, just know that there's hope.
Ian, thank you so much. You know what we like to do at this part of the interview? We hand the imaginary microphone over to you. If you have any sponsors, shout-outs, anything at all, including your social media tags, the floor is now all yours.
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to thank my gym at Factory X, Mark Montoya, Professor Busy, my manager, Jim Walter, all the coaches at Land Out Performance. I would also like to thank my sponsors, Illegal Pete's, Windward Way Rehab, Receptor Naturals, Eldorado, Restore Health, Rackfest, Denver Sports Recovery, Rab Roller, On It Sports, In the Cut, Jesse James Accounting, Relief Massage, Jamie Atlas Personal Training, Pizzeria Calori, the Nill Brothers, King Apparel, and all my fans and supporters out there watching.
Ian, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and we're looking forward to what goes on next with you. Hopefully you get that David Branch fight. Enjoy the rest of your day, and once again, thanks for coming on Pure Evil MMA.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good one. Hopefully I can talk again on your show.
Awesome.
After this fight.
We'll talk soon. Here you guys go. Ian Heinisch, man, a huge win. And like we just said, he came on my show years ago. And it's so awesome to see people like that go in there and make changes and just finally get the crowd's reaction in a positive light. I love that. All right, so we're going to be calling Mike Trizano right now. We actually have a question for Miles Hutton for him. So let me get Mike Trizano in here, which I think I still have his number here. Let me see. I should still have his phone number in my phone somewhere. Mike. UFC's Mike Trizano. Hey. Trizano and the Cowboy hat. Hey. First off, is the audio going good right now, guys? I hope it is, because I restarted it. This mic's been giving me some issues lately. So just really quick, let me check that. Guys, I hope it is, because... All right, good. That shit makes me so nervous. All right, so we got Mike, the Lone Wolf Trizano, calling in right now. What's going on, Mike? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I was just calling in, and then I was just calling your phone, and then I had to hang up really quick to check something. So I'm glad that you just called back really quick. But let's jump right into the meat.
I thought something was wrong, so I don't know.
Yeah, let's jump into the meat and potatoes of this, man. I think one of the most interesting parts is, once again, you come face to face with somebody that was in the house with you that didn't get to go all the way. So it was a fight that I think a lot of people out there wanted to see on that season. It didn't happen because, the violent Bob Ross got injured. So even though he was a teammate of yours, or on the show in general, was it kind of weird having to fight somebody even after the season ended? Or was this a match that you really wanted and thought should have happened on that season?
No, I didn't think it was weird. I mean, he was on the other team, Cormier, but, I don't ever take it personal or anything like that. It's just another fight. That's how I looked at it. And I was just trained for it like any other fight. I didn't look any deeper into it. did I want the fight? It didn't matter to me. He called me out, so I didn't have to look for an opponent. So I said, sure.
Oh, he called you out. How did that happen? Over Instagram, or was it just like, it should have been me in the finale? What did he say? How did he call you out?
Well, he after I won the finale, he beforehand, I think he wanted to fight the winner. So whether it was me or Joe, he wanted to fight the winner regardless. So I won, and then he wanted to fight me. So why look for an opponent when I got one right there?
Which I think is actually really fair. A lot of guys that come out of the Ultimate Fighter, sometimes it takes a minute to transition. They throw some guys into the deep waters, and they have to fight these UFC guys that are comfortable inside the octagon. So I think this was a smart choice. Now, obviously, Bob Ross was a huge character on the show, but yet you were the winner in that weight class. So did you kind of feel undermined in a way, like people were treating Louis? And I love Louis. He's a great guy. But did you kind of feel like an underdog going into this fight?
No, I didn't think I was an underdog. I mean, maybe everybody else did, which kind of played into my favor because I helped some friends make some money. But no, I knew I was comfortable with my skill set. I was confident, and I knew everybody was overlooking me, and that's what happened.
So honestly, after the fight's all said and done with, did you guys talk backstage? Because I knew it was like everyone was blowing you two up. This was a huge fight. So, how did you guys talk? Did you guys talk after the fight?
No, I actually I didn't see him at all afterwards. I don't know where he went, but I didn't get a chance to see him. But I did. We talked on social media. There's nothing but respect between us. I don't have anything against Luis. He's a good guy, and it's a business. It's the name of the game. Someone was going to win. Someone was going to lose. So it is.
In the last fight that you had against Joe Giannetti, you were kind of saying after the fight that you were kind of disappointed in yourself. Like you thought that you were able to do more. Were you finally able to kind of unload in this fight? Were you pleased with your performance? Because you definitely did an amazing job, and I thought it was one of the best fights of the night.
Yeah, you know what? I was very happy with my performance. Again, I'm always going to be super critical on myself, so I have a lot to work on still. But I can say that with every single fight that I've ever had. So there's always room for improvement. But I executed the game plan that Master Tiger Schulman told me to do, and it worked. So I was very happy with how everything went.
Well, let's jump into that. Tiger Schulman's is a great gym. How long have you been with them? Because last time you came on the show, I told you I've interviewed a whole bunch of guys coming out of that gym. And then I think Jimmy actually brought your name up before you were even on the Ultimate Fighter of guys to look out for. How long have you been with Schulman's? Because that's a really old gym.
Yeah, no, I've been about 10 years now.
Wow.
I've been training with Tiger Schulman's.
So is it kind of cool to see these guys blossom? I mean, Jimmy Rivera was only a matter of time before he got into the UFC. I know that he kind of had a setback recently, but he's aiming to get this fight with Cody No Love. So is it kind of cool to be in the gym with these guys like Julio as well? I mean, there's a whole bunch of guys over there. Lyman Good, Burgos. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So do you think that would be a good fight for Jimmy against No Love?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jimmy's been on a tear. I mean, yeah, he lost to Marlon, but look, I mean, things happen. He got caught. You run that fight back, I think it would be different. But I think it's a great matchup for Jimmy. Cody likes to stand there and bang, and Jimmy can do the same things. Jimmy's one of the best boxers I know, and I think it would be an awesome fight. It'd be fireworks for sure.
Well, the first time I had Jimmy on the show, I think it was 2.5 years ago, he was telling me, he was like, man, I got to go over there and train with the guys from Team Alpha Male. I did pretty good against somebody like TJ Dillashaw. I wanted to see that fight, but this one makes a lot of sense. If that fight happened, would you see it going the distance? That would be a fight of the year contender. I mean, on paper, it has all the ingredients to be a definite fight of the night, if not fight of the year.
Yeah, 100%. I honestly truly believe that Jimmy's going to be a champion. I mean, the dude works harder than anybody I know and deserves it. And just give him his chance and he'll show everybody.
So listen, man, honestly, moving forward, we have a fan question here for you saying, what is next for you? Do you have an opponent in mind? Do you have a venue in mind, somewhere that you would like to fight? Where are you at right now that you've had some time to digest?
I honestly don't have an opponent. I was just gonna wait to see what the UFC wants to give me, but I'm probably gonna look to fight sometime February-ish. So I know they got, like, in the very beginning of March. There's a fight card in Vegas, so I'm interested in doing that. So is one of my teammates. So I mean, if I can get on with a teammate, that'd be awesome. But yeah, I'm definitely be fighting early next year for sure. I'm back to the drawing board, back training, and ready to just jump back in there. I definitely want somebody who's gonna propel me forward. I'm looking forward. I want to fight somebody who's ahead of me, and yeah, definitely a UFC veteran.
And that question was from Miles Hutton 15. So you want to fight in Vegas. What's the biggest difference between, the East Coast venues to the Vegas venues? How different are the two, and what makes you want to pick Vegas? Do you just kind of feel home there because it's kind of the fight capital?
Well, I picked that just because it's right around the time span of when I want to fight. I would love to fight on the East Coast for sure. The Barclays Center's in January, but it's a little too soon. Still kind of recovering from throwing a lot of kicks, so I don't think I'd be ready for that. But if they go back to, like, Prudential Center, I'd be down for that too. It's like 20 minutes from my house. But yeah, I'll go wherever, honestly.
So next you're going to be going, Lou, your 10th professional fight. Hopefully get that 10-0 W, man. Do you kind of feel robbed that you didn't get the W on the season of The Ultimate Fighter, even though you won the fight?
Yeah, my first fight on the show wasn't counted technically towards my record because it was only scheduled for 2 rounds. Even though I finished it in the second round, it technically was an exhibition, so it didn't count. So technically I should be 10-0, but I mean, it don't bother me.
So how excited are you to get that 10th professional win? Do you feel a little pressure there, or is it kind of out of mind right now?
No, man. I don't even think about the record. I just think about just giving it my all and putting on a good show. If you think about the record too much, it'll just put unnecessary pressure on yourself, and I don't even think about it.
So listen, honestly, you have one of the best people trying to help you cut weight in George Lockhart. How was the weight cutting for this fight? Because I've seen some of your comments against, Cynthia, and we're going to get into that in a second, but how was your weight cut for this fight?
That was easy. If you do it the right way, you don't suffer. And being at 155, I moved up a weight class and just was easy. I mean, I woke up on weight, so I didn't have to, like, go and, like, sweat crazy amounts to make weight. And I woke up and that was it.
Why do you think
scale and then went to go rehydrate and eat?
Why do you think it's so difficult for a lot of these fighters at the highest level to be making weight?
I think they're just trying too hard to get as low as they can. And yeah, maybe if they do make weight, but cutting that much is just so bad on your body. And I'm thinking long term. I don't want to be a cripple and have all these issues with my body health wise. Later on in my life, I want to be healthy, and I also want to enjoy the process. I don't want to be suffering through fight camp and suffering during fight week, and finally the last day actually be enjoying myself. I want to enjoy the whole thing.
And that's the thing, man. Like, even if they open up the 165-pound division or open up another division, people are still going to try to cut as much weight as they can to kind of have that advantage there. So we don't really have the answer right now to what's going to stop this. I mean, 20% of your purse being, given up, it's a lot, but it really isn't, because if you get the win in there, you're still going to move forward. Like Cynthia, I mean, she has a great story. I'm happy she got the win. But there's a lot of fighters that are missing weight. Darren Till misses weight, and yet he moves forward to get a championship title shot yet, which is absurd. Does that kind of piss you off?
I mean, I feel like everybody who does make weight and who's professional about it, it really, seeing all that happen, it really just, like, kind of, ruins it for us, the ones who are actually following the rules and doing it the right way. You got to make some sacrifices. You got to, be strict and be disciplined during your fight camp. And that's our one job, make weight. We don't really have another job. The fight's the easiest part. You know, everything else you gotta be a professional about it. And if you don't do what you have to do, I don't feel like you should be rewarded. And that's what they're doing. So there's no real incentive for people to actually try and make weight hard if they're missing weight and then still getting the good fights that they want. So, I mean, it is a spit in the face to the people who actually do make weight and are professional about it. So I do get annoyed when I see people miss weight.
Hey, man, you're not lightweight. So are you down for them to open up the 165 division, or are you against it?
Oh, I don't care what they do. You know, I'll stay at 155. You know, it wouldn't affect me. But I definitely think opening to 165 will help other guys. So maybe stop people from cutting too much, because if they don't want to fight at 170, they can go down 5 pounds and go 165. And I think it'll definitely help people to not hurt their bodies with the weight cut.
I mean, there's killers at lightweight right now. I think they can definitely open it up and still have a top 10, top 15 of some real killers in there. I mean, lightweight division is probably the best division right now. So as we get to the end of this interview, I got to ask one more question. Who have you really had your eyes on this year? I've seen that you've been commenting a lot with the Style Bender. So, let's even talk about the Style Bender. Who would you like to see him fight next? He's definitely top 3 opponent next, whether Yoel, Rockhold. What would you like to see him do next?
I think a Yoel Romero fight for him would be a sick fight, and then it would also test his ability to stop the takedown, because Yoel Romero is a world-class wrestler, man. So that's a whole nother level of a ground game, and I think that's a good test for him to see if he's going to take a title shot or not. But that's something I would look forward to.
And honestly, I think he's making one of the biggest splashes as a UFC contender this year, as a guy that is really just, he has such a unique style. A lot of people are comparing him to Anderson Silva, but he's his own person. They're comparing him to John Bones. He literally promotes himself so well, and that's such a big thing in 2018. Is that something that you realize too? Because I see that you do a lot of social media promotions for especially your brand. You got the cowboy hat, you go hunting all the time, so are you kind of on board with this new era? And Style Bender's kind of paving the way as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is the way to market yourself nowadays. You really get your social media up, and it also helps with your fights. You know, if you want to be on a main card for a pay-per-view, if you got a big following, they'll put you on. They want views. They want people tuning in to watch you. It's all about the money now. So, if you have a big following, they'll put you on a big card.
One of the last questions I got to ask you here is, Joe Giannetti, out of all the guys that didn't get a contract, he didn't get one. Is that kind of weird? Were you kind of weirded out when that happened? What was your reaction when you found out that Joe wasn't going to get signed? But yet other guys, even ones that he's beat, like John Gunther. I love John Gunther. He was just on the show last week. It's such a great season of guys. I wish you guys all got contracts, but unfortunately Joe didn't. Did you find that a little weird?
Yeah, it makes me think, like, what are they looking for? You never really know. They're going to sign who they want to sign. John's a character. He's a great guy, and he's marketable, so I think that's a big reason why they kept him. And, yeah, I honestly don't have an answer for you. It's just sometimes it just doesn't make sense, but, look, it is what it is.
I mean, John, he's such a character. He's actually really smart, too. Like, he got into he's, like, smart in his own way, especially when it comes to, the life. Like, he's kind of street smart with what he does with the shearing and all that. He's a really entertaining guy. And another person is also Jay Cuccinello, who was over at Bare Knuckle Boxing. Did you catch his fight? And what did you think?
Yeah, man, Jay's an awesome dude. I think that Bare Knuckle fight, like, put a new spark in him, because I think he was a little bit down when he didn't get the contract, and he was kind of shocked, and I was kind of shocked too, because that dude worked harder than anybody I know on the show, and he definitely deserved at least a couple more chances to really prove himself. But no, I think the Bare Knuckle fight, I mean, he did well. Different type of event, and I think it lit a fire underneath him, and I definitely think he'll be back. Man, even stronger.
the photos of him, just the videos of him, he looked so excited that night, especially afterwards. Like, he was just full of life, enjoying himself. He literally looked like the Chucky doll. He posted this picture of him and Chucky side by side, and it was identical. It was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, crazy the cuts that he had from that fight, but he loved every second of it. You know, if you know Jay, he's one for the tough wars, and I'm happy for him. You know, I'm happy that he's got a new spark underneath him, you know?
All right, this is literally the last thing I want to ask you. Yesterday was Thanksgiving. What did you do to celebrate? Did you go out to eat? How did you celebrate Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah. I ate a good amount of food. It's been a while, so I enjoyed myself big time.
Well, I know that you're a hunter. Do you guys like eat venison, or do you have any like game meat that you eat, or enjoy eating or cooking yourself?
Yeah, but we didn't have any this time. But yeah, normally, you know, anything that we shoot, you know, elk, venison, you know, you name it, we'll eat it. So we eat everything that we kill.
When's the last time that you went hunting? Are you planning on going hunting soon?
Yeah, very soon. It's been a while just because I've been so busy with fighting and everything. I haven't had the time. It's been almost a year since I've been hunting, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna go soon, within the next few months.
We're looking forward to see what happens next with you, Mike. I really want to thank you so much for joining me once again here on Pure Evil MMA. It's awesome seeing you overcome anyone that was doubting you through the season, and even in your last fight, you've definitely proved yourself. You had an amazing performance, and I want to thank you once again for joining us here on Pure Evil MMA. You know what we like to do at this point in the interview. I hand the microphone over to you. If you have any shout-outs, sponsors, anything at all, including your social media tags, the floor is now all yours.
Yeah, man, I want to just tell everybody to follow me at the Lone Wolf MMA on Instagram and Twitter, and then just want to give a shout out to Team Tiger Showmans. You know, they push me all the time, and they help me get better, and we help each other get better. So, thanks for having me on the show,
Mike. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
You guys go, Mike, the Lone Wolf Trizano, calling in once again here on Pure Evil MMA. I love it, man. I love seeing these guys make a name for themselves. It does sting a little bit that Violent Bob Ross and him had to fight, but it was a fight that needed to happen. There's no way that fight wasn't going to happen if Lewis didn't get injured on that season Ultimate Fighter. And now we know how it would play out. So Miles Hutton checking in, saying, Eddie, could you ask for me, how was it to have your first fight in the UFC on the main card? Man, I missed your question, but I got your other one in, Miles, so I hope you enjoyed that. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in between Miles, Kevin, and, man, yesterday we had 100 downloads on Podbean. Today we're up to 110 downloads on Podbean. So, guys, if you are watching the video and you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, I would definitely recommend it. Bring us to the gym with you. Bring us to the mall with you. I mean, I put on podcasts no matter where I am. I mean, last night I lost power. Thank God I was able to charge the phone in the car and listen to some JRE. Oh, and that's something I wanted to ask Mike. Apparently, Mike said he's never watched an episode of Joe Rogan Experience, which I think is totally crazy. The first time he ever watched was with Elon Musk. I forgot to ask him that. I had it written down. And usually I don't write down questions. I kind of just freestyle it. But today there was just so much I knew I was going to forget. And I even wrote it down and I forgot. So that just goes to show you. But guys, this weekend there is a fight coming up tomorrow night. It's going on at like 3 a.m. It's like not cool if you're on the East Coast, but I got the people over across the pond in the UK and whatnot, and they're saying it's the perfect time for us here. And listen, you guys on the East Coast, even the West Coast, you are catered to these UFC cards being in a time slot perfect for your day. Us guys over here in the UK across the pond, we are, sealing our eyes open to watch these fights. So it's only fair. I will say this, though, for this card, I kind of previewed it on the last podcast down below. We also spoke about Rachel Ostovich and Nick Diaz making his return. But it's a pretty shallow card. I mean, every fighter in the UFC is there for a reason. There's not one person in the UFC that doesn't deserve their spot or earn their spot. You make the UFC, you're a champion in your own right? Who is anyone to say that they're the worst in the UFC? And I've been hearing a lot of that, guys. I'm not saying that this is the best card of the year. But I am saying the only fights I want to see is the main event in the co-main event, and then the very first fight with Louis Samoka. I did the predictions down below. I kind of previewed the card, ran through it, so if you guys want to check that out. But this is the way I'm going to do it. I am not going to be staying up till 3:30 a.m. to watch prelims on Fight Pass just for the main event to end at 8:30 in the morning. Best bet, I'm going to go to sleep tonight. I'm going to get a good night's rest. Wake up about 7 o'clock because it's going to be Saturday. I like to sleep in, not have to work out right when I wake up or do anything crazy. I always go out and get my breakfast or whatnot. Bacon, egg, and cheese with a little hot sauce. Every day. It's every day. But that's how I'm going to start my morning. And I don't mind it because then it's kind of weird. It's hard to get like in the mood to watch a fight so early in the morning. You're still kind of waking up. It's like you want to be at the edge of your seat. You want to actually feel it. I mean, I better get like an extra strength coffee. Extra large turbo light with 3 equal tomorrow, man. Like that straight hot fire espresso is what we're going to need tomorrow to get in the mode. But I think the MMA holes might be doing a live stream. They usually do stuff like that. Actually, maybe not. I don't know anyone that's going to be doing a fight campaign or anything like that. But I will be recapping the event. I don't know what's going to come out of it. That's the thing I'm scared about. Like how much time I'm going to have to talk about. Alistair Overeem on the card. He definitely needs this win. His opponent is a tough SOB, and not many people even know who he is. He's ranked like 6 in the world as a heavyweight outside of now in the UFC. But Alistair Overeem, man, he was so close to being a title in that title fight. He looked better than ever 2 years ago. He has popped before in the past, which is definitely upsetting, but I do not think Alistair is washed up any way, shape, or form. Even if he loses this fight, people might throw shade on him. He's still one of the best in the world. If you are in the UFC and you are fighting at the top of the division, even the top 10, you are fighting the best fighters in the world. Consistently. Alistair Overeem, look at the competition this guy's fought for how many years? The best of the best. How could you downplay that? How could you downplay that? I see guys there's so many trolls out there on social media, it's crazy. Some people, like, I'm not going to say they deserve it, but I can see where they're coming from with a lot of things that they say. But there's a lot of people out there that go too far. But guys, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for tomorrow's fight. I want to thank everybody that tuned in today for the Thanksgiving Day episode. I guess that's what this is. The Thanksgiving Day, post-day podcast out. 12 o'clock in the afternoon here on the East Coast. But honestly, guys, it was a great week. My family got in a fight, but at the end of the day, I realized what I was thankful for. Thankful for doing the show. There's nothing that makes me feel more alive than coming on here, doing this with you guys. Now it's tomorrow's Saturday. I get to chill here. Watch fights right when I wake up. Life's good, man. Life's good. Guys, subscribe down below. Follow me on Instagram at PureEvilMMA_. Also on Twitter at Evil_Echo. If you're a part of the Pure Evil MMA chat room, good luck this weekend to get that crystal skull right there. We're going to be doing the announcement for the recap right after. We're going to be announcing the crystal skull winners. Also, we have some giveaways coming up for the month of December. We're trying to get Elias Theodoro to sign a bottle of Head and Shoulders for you guys. I have a couple of fight gear shirts for you guys from some of the fighters like Harrison Adamo. Last year we gave away, I was about to say Glenn Beck, Rick Glenn official tee, and we're going to try to get some more stuff for you guys to give away as well. Probably about 5 things we're going to be giving away this year. But if you want something free, that mailed right to your door, all you got to do, go to iTunes, leave a review. Take a screenshot of that review, send it to me on social media, and I will send you the Pure Evil MMA logo right to your mailbox. Go do that right now. Guys, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. White knuckles to the end. Behave yourselves.